This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my review of the LEGO Marvel Collectible Minifigure Series 2. This is a series that actually releases today. And I was lucky enough to find these at a CVS this past weekend. So, unlike the previous series, which took me 2 years to get the review out of, mainly because I just didn't want to get the last few figures, I managed to get this entire series early, and let's take a look at them. And just as I did with the last one, I'm going to show off the box which they let me take from the CVS I bought it from. So moving all of this out of the way, you can take a look at it. This is the box that will come in, and if you go and look at opening videos of it, at least from the US versions of the box, the character placement is the same, which is how I was able to get basically all the characters. I did make two mistakes, not initially getting Wolverine and Beast, but after I bought a few other packs, and since I got this box initially, I had to randomly guess, so I went with 6, knowing that odds were that they'd be in there, and it turns out I was right. But if you take a look at it, this is the box that it comes in. It's a lot bigger to fit in the now cardboard boxes, which is kind of a garbage thing now, since at least they put them in a certain way, so you know which one is which only if you get an unopened box, like I was able to find. But also it has a pretty nice look, but also I don't like that you have to also weigh these now if it's not an open box like I found. So going to the side, you have a giant She-Hulk. Not really sure why they chose She-Hulk, since that's probably the least popular of the Disney Plus shows. And they know that at least when they were making this with, well, Secret Invasion technically is the worst rated one now, although I don't think it's worse than She-Hulk. But yeah, it had definitely low ratings, and that finale was worse. On the back side, there was this little mess up with the stuff where there was a piece of cardboard stuck to the back, and it messed up the back a little bit. It still is in really, still pretty good condition. And the side has the Wolverine figure, which has been really controversial since we got a Wolverine figure last year, and a lot of people would rather have got someone else. And although I do agree, I think it's still a cool inclusion with how detailed it is. Now looking at the box, I keep the thing with a little tab pushed in, but it would come like this. You would peel it off and get the figure out. But just to keep it closed, I push this little tab in. There is a little thing that looks like a QR code. I tried scanning on my phone. I don't think it went through, and there might also be a way for these little numbers to tell you. I haven't checked it in mine, but I've heard that it's not fully reliable. And I kept all the boxes I had to mine. I got 12 plus 6 more, making 18, which fills up the bottom row. And I've kept everything for these besides the little boxes for the capes. And I just keep all the instructions just in 2 of these little boxes. And that's mainly just, since I didn't know if that's how many is supposed to be at the bottom, I could use it to store this, and if I wanted to store the figures on top, I could. And since this is pretty wide, I'm going to keep it sideways. So yeah, let's start with the figures. They are, well, I only ever showed off the character list. Let's grab that. And if I grab this again, open it back up and grab that character list, which I meant to show off, but just showed off me putting it away. We can go and open it. That's a lot wider than the last one. And if you pop it open, you can see same order here where I went through to make sure to show them off. Backside has builds for how to put a few of the characters together. And yeah, honestly, it is pretty cool. Nice little inclusions, and once you fold it back up, you can keep it in. And yeah, honestly, but also if you want to get, one of these big boxes, just ask at your local store. They probably won't care. And it'll give them a little more shelf space, especially if you buy the entire series. So that's a nice little thing. And the thing I forgot to show off in the last one is, obviously they come with these little things that have the black plate and the little jumper to put a character in. I want to show that about Series 1, but I completely forgot to. But still, it is just something you could see. Now it is time to start with the figures, starting off with Agatha, and she has a few different accessories. She also has this extra Power Blast piece in purple. But if we pop the Darkhold out of her hand, we can take a look at that on its own. There's some pretty cool detailing on the front. If you open it up, you have the stuff about the Scarlet Witch being in there. And I can put that back in her hands and have the Power Blast piece by her. I don't take the book back out of her hand so we can take a look a little more closely at the figure. She has this really cool purple dress, a smile on one side, and a wink on the other. I don't like this new type of cape with the one hole, but it's at least better than some of the other ones. At the back side, she has blue back printing on her dress. And you can put this back on. And I'll put the Power Blast piece back in her hand and keep the Darkhold by her legs for now. Sorry about the jump cut. I heard a loud noise in the background, so assuming it was picked up on here. And the next figure, who is easily the best, the one I wanted to get the most, and thankfully got a duplicate of. And this brings me to a little thing. Side note. If you want to find the characters that have capes, it's easier to find Agatha, Moon Knight, and Storm by going with a 1 in 3 guess, since they all have a cape piece which is kept in a small little cardboard box. If you shake the box, you'll be able to hear that cardboard piece, but that's the really only one you could get from shaking the boxes to determine it's either Moon Knight, Agatha, or Storm. But this Moon Knight figure is incredible. Amazing sidearm printing. This awesome new, it's like a moon ring, I think, piece. This little scarab piece comes with an extra one of these. And I keep both in the hands of my second one. An amazing head print with this little Moon Knight symbol. Great dual molded legs with little moon decals everywhere. Backside, he has great printing. And this incredible face of Mark Spector, which you may not notice it when you have it on there, but if you take a closer look, you have the white around it. So, although it could have included a hairpiece, I'll just grab Wolverine's for example. You would have noticed the white pieces, little pieces of white popping out. Even if you grabbed a more traditional, hairpiece that would have covered more up, there still would have been the white popping out from the sides. But yeah, incredible figure. Could have included an alternate head if they really wanted to, but they did the back printing, which I think still looks really cool. It gives you a unique unmasked version. Going to our next one, we have Mr. Knight. And, well, this one is, I think, a little unnecessary. Like, they really didn't need to include him, especially since it's technically the same character as Moon Knight. It still is an amazing inclusion. The little batons look really cool. The suit, although it's simple, looks really cool. Also, And the backside looks nice there. You could probably also use this to make, if you wanted a Kingpin custom. Moving up to his head, you have the cool rip in there, or sewn line, and you can see the little night symbol, or moon symbol, and honestly, just for the fun of it, I'll show what he looks like with Moon Knight's head on also. Yeah, you can get a pretty cool look there too if you want to add that on. And the other inclusion in his name is Gus the Fish in his fish tank. Really cool little inclusion, little pyramid and plant piece. It's a print from one side. And yeah, it also looks like he has the smaller, more deformed fin that Gus initially had before, well, in the show, he died and Mark tried to replace him to make Steven not realize. But yeah, those are nice inclusions from Moon Knight. Moving on to the next one, Werewolf by Night. We have a really incredible figure here. He has the Bloodstone, and includes an extra one, so you have another one of these cool, unique-looking pieces. He has some really great details. The head is an angry side on one side, and more of a smile on the back. Interesting that he was made since that was probably one of the more violent of Marvel specials. Had a good amount of blood in it, and he really was only in there in his werewolf form for like a few minutes. But it's a really cool inclusion. I think that it would have been nice if they also included Cosmo the space dog to represent the other holiday special, since they had two kind of holiday specials, special presentations, this ring for Halloween and the Guardians holiday special for Christmas. That would have been cool. But still, I don't like it. Here is She-Hulk, and she has this case file for the Abomination and a call from Wong. So those are nice things. And even though, as I said, She-Hulk's finale, it was like X-Men Origins Wolverine level bad, this still is a really detailed and cool looking figure. And really don't really fault them for making it. Even though, and the show, it's honestly a little bit worse than I remember when I watched my recent MCU rewatch, which I just finished. But she looks really good, and it's a nice looking figure. Just I think a little controversial since a lot of people hated that show. Moving on now to Clint Barton Hawkeye. We have him with this little owl that was in the Christmas tree. And he has a new bow design in black. Kate Bishop has the same one in brown, which I'll show you in a moment. He has this really nice, it's kind of simple but nice torso. The printing on both sides, and on one side where he has a band-aid and more of a frown, and on the side where he's more happy. I think this looks like it's a really great Hawkeye, and it's probably the best Hawkeye figure they ever made. And honestly, even though it is relatively simple, I don't think it should have been here, since they probably would have never made this figure otherwise. And something somebody should have done, which is, at least a point against Wolverine, which I'll be talking about later. And I'm expecting that the Moon Knight figure itself is probably going to be going for a lot of money after this series retires. So I'm glad I have two of those, as I said. Now we have Kate Bishop, who has probably some of the most accessories. She has Hit the Spot Pizza, this bow and arrow. She also has the quiver, and Lucky the Pizza Dog, who really does look incredible. There's only one eye. That was really cool. They have the little bumps down here. I'm not really a huge dog person, and don't have a dog, but Not sure if that'll be on the dog or if it's just something about the design of the character or of the mold. But yeah, it's a really nice little figure. I'll put Lucky back here as we take a look at Kate. And she has a really detailed torso. It looks really cool. She has these nice little legs at the bottom. She has gear on her side, one side, nothing really on the other side. Quiver looks cool. And covers at the back a little bit. She has a more angry expression with some injuries on the back side and more happy one with a smile on the front. Yeah, honestly, he's a really cool figure, and honestly, there's another thing that literally just popped in my head is they could have included this piece in black and maybe even like the Ronin mask with maybe Hawkeye to be a cool little reference to Endgame and the suit being the show. And although it would have been really cool to have Kingpin in this, he would have been pretty similar designed to Mr. Knight in the suit. And hopefully we'll get him for either Daredevil in Series 3 for Daredevil or something else. Speaking of Daredevil, I would rather had him over Goliath. And when you're on Goliath, he's a good figure. He's from What If Season 2. And this season hasn't released yet. But I think it might have initially been intended to have been out before the series. The figure looks really cool, but it's actually, it's just one where it is cool. It is cool to have a comic character, but just honestly, I'd rather just have another character. If you pop it off, you do have his head of Bill Foster. Smile on one side, more expression on the other side, which looked a little more like Lawrence Fishburne, since he's a pretty iconic actor. It would be really cool to have ahead of him with more bearded look. But if that's how he's supposed to look in the show, I guess it's fine. But I think most people would rather have that. The next one, which is similar to, well, actually, all the characters from this back half, none of their shows have released yet. Well, I mean, in a way, this technically a show that has these characters has these ones that has come out, being the original X-Men show, but X-Men 97 hasn't come out yet. We have Echo. She has this, I don't know, this is supposed to be almost like some kind of weapon. She has this cool new prosthetic leg piece, which is the first one of a newly molded one, where it's not just, for example, like in Star Wars, just a regular kind of molded piece. And I'm assuming they'll make another one like this, just reversed for the other leg. And it'd be cool if they had those in other figures. I'm assuming it's supposed to be reused a bunch. But yeah, there's a little hole in there, and it's definitely shaped differently. Her other leg is pretty simple, but still is cool. She has nice printing on the arms, good on the front, an angry expression on one side, and on the back side, she has a smile, and all this figure is cool. It's definitely not one of my favorites, especially since her show hasn't been out yet, which this suit is from. And I don't think it was supposed to all drop in like the middle of November. I think it was pushed back, most likely due to the strikes. But still, it's a nice figure. And finally, to go into the X-Men characters, we first have the last of the unique characters being Beast. He has this little microscope build with a little dish at the bottom for him to be looking into stuff. And taking it out of his hand, he has this little X-Men mug, glasses, and he has a little smile. He has some really cool printing around, and this cool new hairpiece with ears built into it. Yeah, so he looks really cool on the front side. He has the X-Men belt and pretty blue hairy torso, and going to the back side, he has, without his glasses, him being a little more angry, and this is, him more in a mission over the other one, which would be probably him, back at the base, the X Mansion. And yeah, honestly, looks really cool, and is a nice inclusion, and is the only original X-Men character that hasn't been in a previous set. Although the Storm is, well, sort of the opposite of the one we had previously, with her having this cool new mohawk piece. At least I think it's new. A smile, and obviously she can't have really anything on the backside, although technically this covers up most of a face print, but you get just a little bit poking through. You line it up perfectly. She has these shoulder pads, this awesome cape piece, where you can easily see the backside. This is very similar to the original Storm, which I'll show off. I will try it off maybe. Actually, I'll go grab it from behind the Daily Bugle in a few minutes, which is where I'm keeping her, well, the original one. These awesome yellow lightning pieces. And yeah, honestly, she is one of the more detailed torsos. Well, not torso, figures with details and extra stuff. And these shoulder pieces also should have probably been on Wolverine, but still is a cool inclusion, and there's just little holes for her hands to go through on this cape. I'm glad they gave her this unique cape on her final figure. And as I said, one of the most controversial ones is Wolverine. And this figure really does look amazing. With the details, the legs, the printing on his arms, his claws, and everything. It's just a lot of people are mad because it could have been really anyone else, and the last Wolverine was from the mech last year. There's so many other X-Men characters that either haven't been made or are made in a long time. People are at least fine enough with Storm, but this is just Wolverine in the same outfit. He's basically been released in basically every set, and that's something probably people have. If it was a little more unique, they probably would have been more fine with it. And I think you could probably say the same about Zombie Hunter Spider-Man from the last one, with him only having the cloak of levitation to kind of make him different. He has angry expression with goggles on one side, and if you turn it around, which I think is appropriate for this one, you have him with his hair on. And giving you it's a cool face, but it's a cool look. And finally he comes with this Sentinel head, which I also do have the original Sentinel, just not the missile pieces to it. Well, top of the missile pieces, which I'll be showing off also in a moment. And if we take a look at this, it is a really cool one. It is a nice design. And as you take a look at that, I will be grabbing Storm and the Sentinel from the Days of Future Past-ish set. As I don't have the toppers to the missiles, I just have the missiles themselves. But you can take a look at Storm. Has sort of it's different fabric, but it's still a basic premise for the cape. And it has a different hairpiece, but still looks really good in comparison. And the backside does have those, white eyes for when she's using her powers. And it fits a little less well to the back of her cape, but it still looks cool. I only have one of the lightning pieces also. And I'm just going to put her back there so the lightning piece doesn't keep getting in the way. Well, the interesting one is, take a look at the original Sentinel head, which I think that this should have included a piece like this at the bottom to just have it run it off, obviously, in the other color. But you can take a look at the two Sentinel heads. They look pretty similar. They're not exactly the same, with this being a little more inspired by Days of Future Past and the comics, and it's went off the show directly, and having Wolverine's claw marks in there. And if you want to, you can take this, you can place it on, and it fits in well with the original one, you would just probably want a different color in there. And if you get the pieces to make the bottom of it, you could have two different Sentinels, one being destroyed by Wolverine, and the other having the purple helmet. Maybe even get, you know, some inverted colors. Have some of these brighter pink pieces on there. But yeah, honestly, these are all really great inclusions, and even though the Wolverine one could have been someone else, I still like him as a figure in it. And yeah, honestly, this is a great new series. Do wish they didn't do the boxes though, and hope Lego gets away from that, but really the only way for it to happen is if this series and other ones sell really poorly, just like they did with Hasbro, with them not having the plastic bubbles, and then Lego may change their mind. But honestly, it isn't as much of a problem if they do keep it in the same spots, but I think the odds of that you finding it like that is really rare, and having to have a scale thing is kind of ridiculous. So it is a problem, and I do hope that they find a way to fix it, maybe even having a way to easily identify which one is which. If they don't want to do the bags, or maybe switch to paper bags. So I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.